Hi, my name is Beth Piley here for Board Game Geek, and I'm sitting with the amazing Keith Bloom.
How can I follow up that? I don't know. Not zombie Keith.
Not zombie Keith. Yes, clear up the controversy.
Yes, I appreciate everybody's concern on my health afterwards. Rajiv had booted me out. He wanted to get a cup of coffee, so I had to distract the zombies for a while. But
yes, it was all the rampage.
Martial arts helped out. I was able to whack him off with the stick. That's good. So yeah, I'm okay. So I'm in there, guys. Thanks.
Well, we're sitting here today to do a overview video of Dark, Darker, Darkest, and this is officially an Origins review video, but Eric W. Martin was having some audio problems when he was out and about at Origins, so unfortunately your interview was unrecoverable, so we decided to do a round two here at our little home studio here in Chicago, since we're both Chicago natives. So
love that.
Yes, love that. That worked out very well.
We're going back in time, is that?
Back in time and place, so we do need a TARDIS and not a DeLorean.
Okay. I am quite fond of my new car, by the way. I love my car.
Mine's in the
I'm
shop.
in love with my car.
As long as you don't love your car.
Well, yeah, true.
Anyway, now some of this game is still in prototype form, so we do have a sample of the box art here, which is beautifully rendered on the back of a shoebox.
It was a nice pair of shoes.
Some big shoes. But why don't you just kind of take us through... Oh, well, actually, before we do that, we do have a little challenge for everybody.
That's true. That's very true. So the question is how many Queen the band, how many songs of theirs are referenced in our little discussion?
Yes, so as you watch this video, if you want to keep a little tally as to how many, either one of us, I'm not as big of a Queen fan as Keith, but I'm sure I could weave in a few.
For Queen games, it seems appropriate that I would, in fact, like the band Queen. That was not a big stretch for me. It sounds all good.
All right, well, why don't you kind of take us through a little overview of what to expect when you open up a box of Darkest.
So... in the one sentence pitch, it is a zombie cooperative survival game. Your goal is to navigate through Dr. Mortimer's house, unlock his lab, and secure the antidote for the virus that is spreading throughout the...
Ooh, all right.
That was a little scary.
Meanwhile,
back at the house. So, where do I want to go from here? Go from the beginning. I like it. So, as you start the game, you take the role of a character. You have a few to choose from. I have laid that out. The board has also been set up as well, so I'll talk a little bit about the layout as we get started. You have a starting piece of equipment. You have some characteristics, traits you can or skills you can develop. That's a better word for it. In the case that we have 4 people out joining us, that reduces the number of action points that you get per turn. The other side of the board has you going up to 4 action points. So the game, one of the things I really like about this game is that it adjusts to number of players, also actions on the board, and that'll take us over to this tracker here in a second. So the activity that took place as we were setting it up is the characters get their equipment, get their different skills that they can learn, that they don't have at the moment, but that they can learn. Colored cubes that are associated with their particular character you can pick. We also laid out the footprint of the Dr. Mortimer's house. And the tiles have icons on them that tell you in which part of the house they need to go. So for example, these tiles with the key icon are corners. And these, in some cases, have special terminals where you would enter in the security code, which is what you do to get into the lab. So there are some things to get into the lab to get the antidote. You're pushed through the house to these different tiles that have the locks on them. You have to go in and unlock those, and what that does is, to me, I think of it as you're getting information, which are keys to being able to unlock the code here. and they're represented by the colored discs up here.
Which then also, I imagine, paces the game the appropriate
I think
amount.
so, yeah. I feel like this is designed really well to kind of give you that sense of urgency. You also have a tracker that kind of flows through to end game as well. But yeah, this is a game that as you come in, when I was playing it, I definitely felt like there was a sense of urgency. And again, I think that's why this tracker is really clever. I like that it encourages people to be working together in how you proceed. One of the things that's also on the board is represented by these icons. These are camera icons. So as I place tiles down, another part of setup is that I actually place camera tokens. Lots of moving pieces in this game to kind of become familiar with at the start. But one of the things I like about this game is that a lot of it's self-intuitive once you become familiar with it. So for example, with the cameras, they're going to be oriented in such a way that they cover the most real estate. So for example, in the case of this camera, which is up against a wall, you wouldn't orient the camera this way, right? Where it's basically just sitting in. So that I like
common
that.
sense principle.
Exactly. Which I think is a good thing, right? Because then it's something you don't have to keep going back and kind of like, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? That kind of thing. So as we have stepped into the home, we're already facing some issues here because we are in the line of two cameras. Yeah. So the initial phase that you come through is actually a security camera check. You won't always be faced with this situation when you first step in, but in this case we are. So that could be quite difficult. So if that's the case, what happens is depending on the number of people, that determines how many dice you roll, and our goal is to try and not have a failure, which is here.
The big no, the universal symbol for no,
exactly.
Circle with a line through it.
And so then we would roll these. For our group, it's one person will roll an action result. And
we
luck,
get one.
oh God, really? Really?
All right, make it happen for.
So what this is telling us is that a creature has spawned.
Which they've got a lovely little creature sort of.
Yes, so I'm not exactly happy about that. So you would roll, we're going to pretend this is a 4-sided die, I'm going to cut it in half. And what that does is tell you where the creature would appear. So you turn this over, we've got a security guard.
There's our creature.
And I have to find his little icon. I'll do that in just a second. So what we see is this moves along 5, and I think we count from this way. So actually what happens is because he's going into a locked room, I think we wind up re-rolling. I have to double check that. But basically,
I see. So one die is the vertical, one die is the horizontal.
Exactly. So instead for the interest of this, we're going to pop him right here.
Yeah.
Just because we love to do that. So I believe we just caught up where I said I'd place it here. Actually, what you do if you roll a creature into a locked room, you re-roll. So that's what we will do. I'm lucky that this one's cooperating. It's amazing. I can divide by 2 and deal with all those rounding. So complicated. So 3 and 4. So this is a case where we have a room with a tile with 2 rooms, right? We have a lock here. And so in the case of placing a creature or zombies, you would not place the creature in here. You'd think he might want to break through the wall, but the reality is you're going to place him in the hallway. So that's how he.
So he can do the most damage as quickly as possible.
Yeah. In his case, yeah. The hammer's gonna fall when we get rumbling, and he's in line of sight. So he's shambling towards us. We're gonna be worried about this. So, and here's the other thing: we have 2 cameras facing at us. We're not done yet.
Oh,
so I thank
roll
you
again.
It was Beth who tripped over the cord earlier today. I knew. It's gonna be a problem. Sure enough.
Me tripping technology.
I don't want you with me when I'm trying to save you. I'm just saying. You're my girl, but no. That's it.
Well, come on. Who wants to live forever, though? No?
I do.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. So that would be a kind of magic, wouldn't it? All right, so roll again.
Okay, no monsters.
That's better. Although I did roll, I guess I'm blaming it on you.
Yeah, I'm blaming it on you.
So that was the second security.
Come on, Keith, friends will be friends.
Hey, I like that. So we've done that. First, as the game starts, we are not starting at the beginning of a normal sequence. You check for security cameras, then you do zombie spawning. So that makes sense to me. Then what would happen is you begin to execute your turn. So we've got things happening, which I also think is logical. You start the house, it responds to your appearance.
Okay.
So in that case...
So, and that happens before the people go, so they can use their turns to then react to those things that are literally popping out like daisies.
Absolutely. Nice. There are things... One of the things I realized as I played this game, it occurred to me very quickly, it's like, I need to get more equipment. And so I think it is something, one of the actions you could take is to search rooms to get more equipment.
Yeah, and I'm just actually going to grab one of these cards because obviously we're on a pulled back view. Like there's a handgun is one of the equipment.
And this one actually would have a
baseball bat.
Yeah, with a counter. So you've got a device where you could drop a cube here and count it down as it shoots. But we've got little tokens that show you that it's been loaded to 4, and or you place a cube on there as it shoots. I don't remember that. But you've got a device for tracking.
Having trouble reading this one. A combat knife. All right.
Nina, I like Nina a lot, quite frankly. She is the wisecracking nurse. And apparently she likes to injure you and then bandage you. So, I'm just saying. So in that case, with zombie spawning, the way that works is we roll the same thing. Oh man, this dice is awesome. Die. This die is I gotta get it plurality correct. So we're 2 and 2. They sit here, and in that case, you have a zombie spawning tile. We don't know what the zombies are, the quantity. They vary in number until their line of sight. So they can still react and move toward us depending on the actions we take.
So they're sort of moving as a little pod, perhaps, a zombie pod.
Exactly. Because, that's how they work. And the thing that I thought was interesting as I was going through, and also as I say this, and we'll probably get yelled at by lots of people, so just get ready for that. The rules I'm looking at are not final rules, but in the case of zombies, what I thought was interesting, and I also thought was thematic, is that they don't go by sight, they're going by sound. And so what happens is they, like, if they hear us doing something over here, they start banging into the wall. They can get stuck, right? Which I thought was pretty thematic. Like, that's kind of how they are alike, depending on the type. So, whereas the creatures have higher level of intellect, and they're going by open path. So
now I'd love to pause you on your explanation for a second here. So obviously now these are little chips because the number underneath is significant, but I'm noticing that there are some pretty significant figurines going on here.
Well, there will be. Yeah, that happens to be probably some kind. I'm not going to advertise for another company, but anyway, just saying. Yes, we're going to have. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked that. It's almost like I knew. Do this maybe. Could be. Yeah, we're going to have zombie sculpts, players. Zombie figures, player figures, the creatures, the nemesis character. Also we'll have a sculpt as well, and then on Kickstarter itself, as we've been unlocking various stretch goals, there are additional zombie sculpts that are available to the backers. The retail version will have one type of zombie sculpt, but backers, as we unrelease others, and that might lead to an expansion.
Just saying.
Could be. Those things seem to happen if I were a betting person.
Now this, since you mentioned Kickstarter, this has kicked, as the lingo goes.
Rather well. Yes. I think we've broken 6 figures, and I don't remember when we went over 6 figures. But yeah, we've got as of today, we have 22 days left.
Today being June 20th.
Is that it? Yeah. I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word. Is it 39 or is it...
Days for a kick?
No. Oh. What year?
Oh,
yeah. Not sure. I'm thinking thematically this is about 78, 79. So that's what I'm working with.
Now, how do we win? Obviously, you get the antidote, but
So as
you mentioned the nemesis in there.
These are the bad guys appearing. So now, what are we gonna do other than banter? Apparently, noise we said is a problem, and yet here we are. So, in the case of this, is where we start getting into the communication among the players. Right, we've got 2 people with close range weapons, right? This blue icon tells you the kind of the range. So
range of 0,
yes,
exactly. On top of you.
So this is a case where we would be thinking okay, this guy who has a movement of 2 is going to be coming up on us pretty fast. we're going to want to start taking actions to be, did the guys who have a range step forward and start taking shots? So we would discuss
a room being a marker of range?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
a
movement of 2 would move him across 2 rooms.
Yes, absolutely. So, and that's another point, right? As we look and see this, we could say, okay, if we get something that generates movement for him, then, we want to make sure, like, I wouldn't be standing here if I could help it at the end of my turn, right? So on our turn, again, this is a case where, to me, the things we have available to us are all kind of logical. You look at this as like, well, what can you do? Well, I can move. I can shoot, right? I can fight. I can unlock doors if I'm in the right place.
Search for items.
You can search, which is what I think we should do. So the way...
I'm guessing that's...
Yeah, and the way this works, we have 4 people in this room at the moment, and that's why these 4 cubes, which represent each player, are here. And so before I actually roll the dice, I want to touch upon this real quick, that this tracker is one of the elements that I think is really, really clever in how it incorporates into this game and what it requires you to do. Let me give you a scenario just in the interest of time. If we had 2 people here, and let's say that's their characters, as you move, so we started the turn, and when we finish the turn, this is the situation at the end of the turn. What happens is these cubes are now moved to reflect what happens. Okay? Going forward, when this group starts to take actions, they have to take them all. Okay? When all those actions are taken, so let's say that Jack is purple. Once Jack is done with his actions, he would slide down here. Now, it's important to recognize that between the 2 of them in this group, you and I can talk back and forth. Hey, I'm going to try and hit the zombie with the bat, right? If I miss, you may come and get involved. So it's like there's good coordination. We can go back and forth on our turns, on our action points. But once we start going, we have to finish all our actions before the other groups can go. And this is important to recognize. So once he's done, his cube drops, signifying that his actions are done. Next person drops, and this goes down. When that happens, we've got a situation where this now becomes a triggering room and can cause the game to respond to what's happened, or zombies moving toward us, etc., right, to the fire breaking. There are these things that can occur. So you have this dynamic tension of, do I stay together because there's safety in numbers? We can search more effectively because the search is driven by the number of people you have in the room.
Which also
logical.
Good common sense rule.
Absolutely. But we also have a sense of urgency that we got to hustle because this game isn't going to wait for us. And, the other thing I also feel like that captures the theme is, it's not going to get better. Right? It's not like, oh, we got over the hurdle, we can catch our breath. No.
It's a happy zombie game.
That's it. Yeah, not tomorrow. So yeah, that definitely puts us under pressure to keep going for sure. So if we choose to search, what we do, these dice, what we are looking for is a success.
So success is the giant.
It'd be like the strike or the weapon shot.
Yeah.
For sure. So we would roll here. Oh, good. So this is a case where the other thing that can happen too is if we roll it double, that actually triggers something as well. So you get it coming and going.
Which also sort of follows a common sense principle that if you bang into the wall once, not so bad. If you bang into the wall twice...
Somebody might notice. That's right.
Maybe, maybe.
Exactly.
Somebody might say, hey, now you're here.
That's right.
Sorry.
If you didn't know before, now you did. Exactly. Be like, somebody save me. Speaking of saving, we've got a first aid kit.
Aha. So yes, we'll say that's the thing we found.
We succeeded the equipment.
Yes.
We've got an equipment card deck here, which is just, this isn't where it would sit, but just for reference, so we turn that over. Each player has 2, again, common sense, right? You've got something that you can have an item in each hand that's considered your active item, and then you can also have 3 things in a backpack.
Okay, excellent. She can stab with her combat knife in one hand, and then
just kind of carry them.
Then hit them over the head with the...
Yeah, absolutely. You like that kind of...
Is that the appropriate martial arts form for hitting someone over the head with a first aid
Over the
kit?
head with that would be the hammer to follow. For sure. So that would be an action. When you do that, once you have successfully searched a room, you have to drop a cube, letting yourself and everybody else know, well, not the zombies, but the team know, hey, we've done this, okay? And then that room cannot be searched again.
So equivalent of marking it off on your map, so to say. Literally, but...
Absolutely. So as we go through, then you're going to make decisions about whether you move. You might come over here and try and unlock the door. These guys could go forward with the intent of taking a shot. So you have cubes that'll keep track. You could also do it this way, but we have a number of cubes that you'd be basically, take an action, set it up here, etc. Right? The way I set these up is to follow that. But
now, why don't you give us a few ideas of maybe how we can lose? I mean, I'm thinking the obvious ones would be character death, which is pretty obvious on the card there.
That could be a problem.
And let me take a guess.
Yes,
and let me take a guess too, because this is indicative of, now I haven't seen these boards before, because this is still in prototype form, obviously. Right. But I'm guessing that as I get injured and I cross this mark, I'm going to go from 3 actions to 2 actions.
Nice.
Because look at that. And then likewise down to 1 and then dead. So are you able to keep going if you lose some of your team members?
Yes, that's true. And what you can do is, if you do in fact die, you can respawn. Did I really go there?
It's your cousin. That's where the mob comes in.
What is that? That's right. If somebody couldn't save you, if that were the case, then you may become a zombie, and actually then the character becomes a zombie on the board. You could have a new character, but he or she then actually takes the game with his or her starting points. Or starting equipment. So it's like, if you're further into the game and are kind of loaded up, sorry, you don't have them now. So it's a hindrance. You don't want to lose somebody. And that's, the first aid kit comes into play. Nina has the ability to heal other players. So again, reinforcing the co-op element. One of the guys who I don't have out is a firefighter. This house, the Mortimer neglected. What David wrote about is that Mortimer neglected maintaining the house. So you've got gas leaks in random areas, and these fire icons tell you that if something trips here, there's actually an explosion which causes 2 surrounding tiles to catch on fire. So it's a problem. I really wish he had taken better care of his home if he's going to be starting the zombie apocalypse. It's just a problem. So in the interest of moving on, because we're already over time, we haven't gone into the intricacies of combat. David, as the designer, obviously has been really proactive about answering questions. You guys can answer me questions.
Yes, he's very proactive about answering them.
I try to be proactive. One thing just to point out, for example, the dice that the bad guys roll are different from the dice that you roll. So one of the things that we didn't touch upon is it's not straight up, I roll dice and something happens. One of the things that bad guys can do is actually entrap one of the characters. So you wind up getting in trouble. It's like, save me.
I want to break free.
That's it, exactly. So, that's another thing. And it reduces your actions. You get to roll 1 die, and that's what you're trying to do to break out. And so, other players can come and help you. So that's something that...
You hope for a miracle.
For sure. Absolutely.
Now, you guys, obviously we mentioned you're on Kickstarter with this right now.
We are. And the support's been... I didn't get to the... Support's been awesome. I mean, I just really, really thrilled. I think we're really excited to be able to publish it. The support's been outstanding, and I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm. I mean, we've been having a lot of fun in the comment section. I'm excited with, we got some feedback initially about we'd like to, the people backing it and people interested. We'd like to see some things a little bit different, and worked with the company and love the dynamic there, and I feel like we responded really well. I mean, I think people are happy with that. So I really like. It's kind of funny considering we're talking about a zombie environment, but I like the interaction that we're.
Well,
seeing.
and let's very briefly go over the one thing that most people usually want to know when they go on Kickstarter is like what are the backer bonuses? What would you get above and beyond the retail copy?
Sure,
because a lot of people like to know sort of what those
right yeah. So you would get. I'm trying to think of where they all unlock. But you get 2 additional heroes, an additional nemesis. There are additional zombie sculpts, and David's working on additional rules that those can be incorporated in the game to make things more.
Rooms, maybe.
Yes, more rooms as well. Outstanding, very nice, very nice. Just like, feed him the lines. Additional creatures are unlocked. Those are what's like up next, and so you've got some stuff that's more. Visual kind of window dressing, and then you've got other stuff that adds variability to the game. Yeah. One of the things that Raju tries to do is make sure that we don't.
Owner of Queen.
Yes, right. Yeah, good. My boss. Yeah. I'm here working. See. We absolutely want to thank the backers who are allowing us to do this game, showing their support up front, but also you want the package that you buy off of the shelf to be a complete experience. What the retailers I've talked to, if you introduce something that changes gameplay, it creates problems. So, I think Raju does a very good job of being cognizant of that. You want to thank the people who give them some neat stuff. You also get a copy of Metro. With the purchase of the game, which I think is a really good game. People have said, well, it's kind of a, not really in theme with zombies unless you're putting them on a train or something. But the idea is the crowd that you expect for this game is probably not going to be as familiar with Queen's products. So, present them with, I think, is a really good game.
Yes. Thematically, not Queen's bread and butter.
Right. No, I'm very excited. No, it's new. It's not so much. This is a new thing for them. And
there be no zombies in Queen.
Not that I'm aware of. If they have, they didn't tell me, and I'm really a little disappointed. So, I'm really excited about this because that's where I cut my teeth in the industry. As I started with, the first iteration of Eagle under Glenn Drover, who was very well known for the plastics and whatnot. So I'm thrilled. I think coming on board at a really exciting time for Queen. Next year's 25th anniversary. I'm jacked. So I thank you again to all the Kickstarter people and the support. I'm really having a lot of fun interacting with the people in the comments. I mean, there are some funny and sharp people. I was like, man, I'm in the deep end.
You don't fool me.
Exactly.
Well, and Keith, and we thank you for coming over here back to our little studio here in Chicago for round 2, otherwise known as Beth and John's house. So thank you so much for stopping by and showing us Darkest.
Thank you so much.
That's it. Another one bites the dust.
Fade to black.